What's up, agency owners? Jason Swenk here with another episode of the Smart Agency Masterclass, a podcast dedicated to you, the digital agency owner, so you can scale your agency faster by hearing amazing stories. And today I have another amazing guest who's a repeat guest, Manish, and we're going to talk about really how he's taken risks and built his business over the past 10 years. Like, what are those mental model frameworks that has worked for him? So let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Hey, welcome to the show, Manish.
Hey Jason, thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Yes.
I'm excited to be on the show again, second time.
Awesome. Well, for the people that haven't watched the first episode, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Sure. Uh, so I run E2M, which is a white label full stack digital agency. So essentially, we work with digital agency owners and provide them white label services. We help agencies to scale their agency business without increasing their overhead cost. And if I put it in one line, we kind of help we solve like bandwidth and capacity issues with digital agencies face in order to scale their agency business. So that's what pretty much we have been doing since last 10 years. And as we speak, we work with 130 agencies all across the US.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. Kind of what, you guys have been around for 10 years, which is amazing. And I was telling you kind of pre show of like, I get hit up by your competitors almost every day. I mean, it's literally crazy. I'm like, how many are out there? And obviously, you've been
Yeah.
doing it and growing for the past 10 years. So, kind of what's your mental model framework that's been working for you to kind of transition from when you started to where you are now?
Yeah. So it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to keep it short, right? I think one of the most important things which I realized and I learned based on my experience is you really want to understand your position in this global ecosystem, right? So I think I have way back I identified that my core expertise is more about sales, branding, marketing, and over the time I also learned a lot about leadership, training, team hiring. Obviously, I did not know all these things 10 years back. Over the time I learned, but initially when I started, I was kind of clear our position in the ecosystem, right? So uh, it's sort of like that. I'll put the best analogy. When you think about like manufacturing, you think about China, right? So you see, like, okay, if you're running, let's consider an example of Apple, right? Imagine if Apple would have been manufacturing iPhones in the US, the cost would have been much, much higher, right? So they kind of understood their position in the ecosystem that, okay, we are really good at designing iPhones, architecture, building phones, and then building brands, marketing, sales. But the manufacturing is something we can really get it done from China. We can have a factory set up there because it just you want to see we are a global economy, right? You want to leverage uh, the benefits of other part of the world in order to grow and have your solid position in the ecosystem, right? So I think this is how I think, like, uh, that our position. So we have a headquarter over here in India, right? India is the only country in the world which has the highest youth population between, like, I would say 20 to 35, right? uh, India is the country where there are maximum English speaking people, right? Very young talented people. And when I think about, like, just like how we think about manufacturing, the second thing comes to China, right? I know there is a lot of controversy going on around that as well, right? But we are talking in general, right? I mean, in reality, we either we hate it or love it, but we know that China is, like, it's kind of like the uh, a superpower of world in terms of manufacturing, right? I mean, the amount of resources they have, the kind of ecosystem they have built, it's hard to build, right? You cannot like build it overnight in any other country, right? So I think the way I look at India is similarly for kind of like having an outsourcing, right? Although I understand that it has been become a corrupted word, right? So I think I identified the position, our position in the ecosystem is building a really, really reliable, a quality and extraordinary company, and having an extraordinary team, having the right people in the place, right processes in the place, and really helping agencies in the US who are struggling to grow just because they do not want to increase their overhead cost, or just because like they really their core expertise is not hiring, their core expertise is not like leadership or like dealing with day-to-day operations, right? See, it's kind of like I run operations since 10 years, and uh, as a CEO, like we have a team of 150 people. We have to do a lot of like daily chores, and it's kind of like I was listening to Elon Musk interview other day, like few weeks back, and he was like, there are a lot of daily CEO calls. You hate to do it, but you still have to do it because you want to run your organization, right? In order to, that's the need organization. So I kind of identified there are a lot of agency owners who really do not want to get into that because their core expertise is sales, branding, project management, account management, and they don't want to deal with this. And that's where we are like, how about if we solve this issue, solve this thing where they are locally there, and also because we are offshore, right? The cost is like they can make more profit, agency owners,
Yeah.
and that's where I feel like that kind of create win-win, where they kind of focus on their expertise and our focus expertise is hiring, culture, product, production, processes, and quality delivery, right? So
So it's really kind of about understanding kind of what your place and what, and really kind of self
that's right.
awareness of
Yep.
going, here's the situation, here's who I want to help, and here's how we can kind of position. What
Yep.
a lot of agency owners listening to this, they struggle with operations, and you've been doing this for 10 years, like you just said, and you have over 150 people. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit and talk about, because there's a lot of agency owners listening. They may be around 20 people or maybe a little less or maybe more, right?
Yep.
And they're like, there's no way I can bring on anybody else because I'm already at my max at managing everybody. So what is
Yes.
kind of your management philosophy? Because obviously you have 150 people, you probably can't know every one of them.
Yep.
So what's been working for you guys?
Uh, See, what work for us is kind of like you. I think you picked the right word, which is like management philosophy, right? So my advice to people who are like the agencies who are growing and having hard time like managing people is making sure that having a core leadership team, and clearly define who is responsible for what, right? So at our organization we have like 6 to 7 people I regularly mainly deal with, and the responsibilities are very much divided, right? And I have worked closely with them and made sure that they exactly follow what culture we are building and then the company philosophy and everything, right? So I think deciding the core leadership team, how to decide, make sure first is something, look for the traits, right? So first, we always at our organization we always give an opportunity to people who are already working with us, who are kind of can do it, and we pick them and we give them an opportunity. So I would say try to identify someone who is already in your organization who can do that job, who can like take off the job you have on your plate, and then rather than you go out and hire someone else, right? So see, the one philosophy always works for me is something like, there is always someone out who like to do what you hate. Does that make sense, right? So let's say, if I'm like fed up with the CEO job, I'm done with CEO role, there is always someone in the organization or out who loves to do CEO job, right? So all you just have to identify what you really hate to do. And when I say hate to do, that doesn't mean, I don't like to do it. It just I want to do something different to scale organization, right? So identify someone who loves to do what you hate to do, and that creates a win-win, right? And so that is the first thing. Second thing is that, this is more of a cliche, but it's very important. It's very important that you trust them and do not give a second thought to your core leadership team and people who are managing your people, right? Because the foundation of trust is something you have to trust people to earn it back, right? You cannot, you cannot earn people's trust without giving the trust, right? So from day one, what I have done is, if I'm giving some work to our leadership team, I will not look into that. I'll let them execute the way whatever they want. I will kind of, I'll care about the end result, right? So second thing is more about the trust, like, trusting them, like you don't have a second thought, right? And third and most important thing, which kind of I have learned, is something I don't know if you ever heard about. There is a terminology and there is a framework called like principal agent problem, right? I don't know if you ever heard about it. So,
Yep.
uh, principal agent problem is something, I learned, and I learned just like a year or two back, and then I realized that I'm glad I've been following this since very long. So majority of problem in this world, specifically in corporate world, of customer dissatisfaction or employee dissatisfaction is just because of principal agent problem, right? So I'll give you an example. So what is the principal agent problem? Essentially is like, you are hiring someone on behalf of yourself to provide service or product to your clients, right? So where the incentive of principal and agent is not same, that's where it creates a dissatisfaction. Okay, so my classic example is kind of like that. Uber is my classic example. Let's say Uber has, like, agent drivers are agents, principal is their customers. Now Uber has hired kind of drivers to satisfy their customers who are principal, right? But Uber's incentive system is very different. It's kind of like, if you complete X rides in a week, then you get X number of incentives. But what if the some of the rides are very long? Then they won't be able to match. So what they try to do is they try to, like, they always love shorter rides. They kind of hate to do longer rides, right? So the incentive of, like, so as a customer, let's say you are in Uber and I'm a customer and there is the X is driver. So my satisfaction is something, the driver must be happy. Then only, I'll be happy customer, right? So if I put this analogy in terms of service or business, right? Essentially, CEOs, who agency owners, are hiring people to satisfy their customers. So it's very important the incentives for people are met, because you are not going to deal with your clients on a day-to-day basis, right? You are putting your people at the core, at the front face of your company, to serve, provide service to your clients. And if your people are not motivated, their incentive, so it's kind of like paying them really what they deserve and making sure you pay them well, right? Their incentives are being taken care of. Identifying like core leadership people who have a different skin in the game, they should be paid accordingly. So I think, these three things I'll put it like,
Yeah.
which is more about like identifying the core leadership, trust, and fixing principal agent problem.
Yeah, it always comes down to your employees, your team are your most valuable asset. So if they're
Absolutely.
not happy, your clients are going to be happy. And what I always tried to look at is, and I remember the biggest thing once I started figuring a lot of this out, and I'm still figuring it out, when you have the right team in the right seat, you don't have to worry about motivating them. They're already motivated, but you have to
Very.
worry about demotivating them. And I remember
Yeah.
when I sold my agency and I had a boss. And I remember I had some really big ideas. I was like, well, cool. Now we have even more money, more resources. And I presented an idea to them that I think could have been a really big one. And they kind of dream squashed it, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll think about it. And it really
Yeah.
demotivated me. And from there, I was like, fuck this, man. I'm out of here. Like, I can't wait for us to sell again. So my tour of duty is done. Like, I was mentally checked out. So I
Yeah.
literally, I've always been a bad employee, but but you have to worry about demotivating them. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. That's really important. So uh, I think in order to do that, I think as you scale an agency, and that brings to the another good point, that it's very important that you have your core leadership team as well as the people of your organization at same level, right? So they should be aware of, and they should be a part of common organization goal, right? So as we are ready to scale for the next level, we recently have started implementing like OKRs. I'm sure you must be knowing about that, right? It's kind of like objective and key results. So we have kind of now decided that okay, we'll have three common objective goals of organization for the next quarter, and then we have had I mean the new quarter three has been just started. So we just had a meeting with our co-leadership team last week, that okay, these are the three common organization goals, right? And where you can contribute, and we have given like OKR for everyone, every leader. We have given their individual OKRs. This is what you have to gonna do is for next quarter to achieve the common organization goal, right? So I think you brought the right point, is how not to demotivate them. Is kind of like you have to be vocal about your goals, right? You have to like share your vision. You have to share your goals, right? And make people feel like they are inclusive of this goal. So it's kind of like you are giving them their job. You are telling them what to do, but in altogether a different way, where they don't feel like they are doing for themselves. They feel like this is we are doing to achieve the common organization goal.
well, you got to think about what is human nature. As human beings, we all have the seven, or the same traits, right? Like, we want to be significant, we want to be a
Yep.
part of community, we want to be loved, all these different things, and we want to be recognized as well. And we a lot of
Yep.
times we get recognized through paying and payment, but a lot of times it's just like, hey, you're doing a fantastic job, or recognize them in front of people. And we all need to, in order for us to feel significant, if we all have a common goal and we're going after that, and we start having those wins, they're going to have that significance. We've all had those jobs, and I say
Absolutely.
jobs, not careers, where we didn't know the common goal. We just had a task
Yeah.
to go do, and then we had no recognition. We didn't know the impact of it. But if we all have the same goal, we understand the impact that we're actually delivering to people, and then we can have self-worth and significance, growth, community, all these different things. Then at the end of the day, it's not all about money. If it's all about money, you're going to lose your team. I can promise you that.
Absolutely.
So you got to kind of marry this all together. That's what took me many years to learn, many good employees and bad employees to go through, in order to really kind of figure it out. And I'm still figuring it out. You can ask my team now. I'm still messing up.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Probably we will do a separate podcast to talk about this. I have a lot to share on that because I study. It's been last 4 years. I have been studying like human psychology, philosophy. What are like the core things which motivate human beings, right? Uh, Fortunately, because of my curiosity about learning, we have had a great retention. We have a great retention in our company. We have very happy people and culture at company, because it's kind of like you are right. At the end of day, there might be another company who might be paying them more than what you are paying, right? But it's all about the community. It's all about like community. What kind of environment are they feel valued? Do they feel like valued? Do they feel like they inclusive, right? That's the most important thing, right? I think, are they being judged, or are they being like open? Are they being, can they be by themselves? So those kind of like things matter a lot, and we have taken a lot of initiatives to build kind of an open culture, right? So many things. So I think, one of the things which we see, like you said, right, we have a team of 150 people, and it's very hard, it's practically impossible for me to talk to individuals. So what I did like 2 years back, we started an AMA session, where which is like, we organize like 2 hours of an AMA session, and literally anyone can ask me anything, be it anything, unfiltered question and unfiltered answers. So we last week we have had our fourth AMA session, and there were like, 50 plus questions, and it just like make people realize that, okay, we are a part of that, and it's not just that the core leadership team is only aware about things, we can also ask and know anything. So yeah, I agree with that.
I
To
love
build a
that.
great culture and to grow, these things matter a lot, just other than just like, paying them well.
Yep. Well, this has all been amazing. Tell us for if you're well, obviously everyone listening is an agency owner. If they want to reach out to you or possibly work with you guys, which I highly recommend, how can they get in touch with you guys, or where should they go?
Yeah, so uh, our website is best, it's e2msolutions.com, and Jason is going to put a link on this podcast transcript as well. That's where, you can learn more about our white label services. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of personally passionate about helping agency owners to scale and grow their business. And yeah, I mean, I'm a part of the community, and I understand this ecosystem really well. So if you are struggling with any kind of bandwidth or capacity issues, I would be all ears to hear your problems out, and see if we can help you out. Yeah, so I think our website would be the best way to contact us.
Awesome. Well, make sure everyone go there and check that out. Thanks so much for coming on the show and providing value. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it out, subscribe, like, comment, and until next time, have a swing.